bother you.
No.
Yes.
Welcome back. Make sure this is straight, and then we'll start. If anybody is out there, it is Thursday, May 6th, right? Yes. No.
Yes.
Yes, 6th. 5th? No, it's the 6th.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yesterday was.
Six.
Don't confuse me. I'm lucky to remember the day of the week. So let's sit comfortably. You know, if you're in your chair, get your feet hip distance apart, parallel, so you feel fine up in your hips. And just be mindful if you're on the floor and your hips feel uncomfortable, sit up on a blanket if that helps you. Stretch your legs out if you'd rather. Sit cross-legged if you want. Close your eyes and lengthen up through the top of your head. Really let yourself feel your shoulders melt down. And enjoy just watching your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Just gently accepting the breath into the belly, so you feel your belly rise and expand a little bit. And see if you can bring your awareness to the little spaces between your breaths, just feeling that little space, that little pause at the end of your inhale before you exhale. The same thing at the end of your exhale, that little space, that little pause before you inhale. Start to move a little bit with our breath. So we'll make these easy little circles. If you're in your chair and you need to scoot a little bit away from the back of your chair, do. But we'll just come into circling in one direction. The circles don't have to be big. They can be really small. Letting your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. If it feels good to you to get bigger with the circles, you can let your circles get bigger. You know, pay attention to how it feels in your back and let yourself just easily start to move with your breath. And we are going to reverse directions. So when you're ready to stop and go the other way, let yourself just move on around in the other direction. Again, staying small or getting bigger and easing your way into moving with your breath. Finish off, you can end up forward and then rise on back up to sitting nice and tall. And let's let our arms come on out beside us. If you're on the floor, fingertips can lightly touch the ground. Then we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down through the midline to be in front of our chests. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. Let's make one big arm circle. Let your arms come forward as you inhale. Rise them up and over the top. And let them come down as you exhale. We're going to reverse that circle. Inhale as you reach back. And then exhale as the arms come on back forward. Just waking up a little more through the shoulders. And then float your hands, your arms up a little bit. And let your hands circle. If you want to do loose fist, you can. If you want to keep your hands open, or you can do a little bit of both. Just let it feel good to move through the wrists a little bit. We're gonna reverse circles, so let the circles come the other way. Again, if you'd rather close your hands or keep them open. And then just shake your hands out a little bit, and we're gonna stretch our legs out briefly. So just stretch your legs out, move through your ankles a little bit by circling through your feet. And you can switch whenever you want, moving easily there. Good. And then if you're on the floor, keep your right leg long. Forgot to tell you, I don't mirror you because it mirrors here. So right leg is gonna stay long if you're on the floor, and you're gonna cross your left ankle either above or below your knee, right? So if we're on our chair, we're gonna keep our right foot on the floor and cross our left ankle over if possible. You can always cross your ankle if you need to. And then from here, flex through this left foot and think about coming forward just a little bit. And it's up to you. You know, if it feels really good in your hip to go farther, go farther. If even coming forward at all is too much, just think about sitting up tall, flexing that foot. And if you want to press the foot into your hand, you can. You can press the ball of your foot in your hand. You can even wrap your fingers into between your toes, or just kind of, you know, massage your toes a little bit if that feels good. Just be really easy just to feel that hip releasing there. Good, one more breath. And then we'll come on back up. We're gonna twist from here. So take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twisting to your left. And your right hand can either be there on your shin or over to your left knee as you come on around into your twist. Keep flexing the left foot so you have a little energy there up into your hip. Think about just zipping up your low belly a little bit here. Feeling the twist there in the middle of the back. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come on back around through center and keep on going all the way into the other direction. So letting yourself, again, feel the belly, just gently drawing in. Lengthen up through the back of your throat, really. So you feel very much at ease there and where your head is. One more inhale. And on the exhale, use your belly and to come on back around into center so we can switch legs. So we'll come to the other side. So again, you know, crossing where the level that feels good to you. And then as you, again, flex through that right foot, you can decide if coming forward is okay or not. Stay up tall if you need. And again, if you'd like to put your left hand on your right foot, you can press the ball of the foot into your hand. You can, if you want, interlace your fingers or massage your toes or your foot there. Just enjoy feeling a little more release there in the right hip. See if you can imagine bringing your breath to where you need it. So if you feel really tight, I mean, it might be your hip, it might be your back. See if you can imagine breathing to that place. One more breath. And then we'll come on, again, back up. We're going to add that twist. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, twisting to your right. So again, now your left hand can be on your right knee or on your shin. Let that back arm just go to where you're able to be. And then enjoy waking up the spine here. Where you look, like if you want to look more to the wall beside you, or you think it feels good to look a little behind yourself, do. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, we'll come on back around. We're going to keep on going again into that other direction. So feel the belly engaging. Feel that length. Think of all the space in your spine here. One more inhale here. And then on the exhale, release your way on back around into center. And go ahead and uncross your legs. And you all who are on the floor, if you were cross-legged before, if you come back to cross-legged, switch to cross the legs. So, you know, you probably have a way you always switch leg you always have in the front. So just go to the other one. And then let's inhale our arms straight on out from the shoulders and bring our left arm on top of our right. And Give yourself a hug, let your chin come down for a second here towards your chest, and let your elbows melt down. Doesn't matter where you're holding with your hands. And you can even turn your head a little side to side if that feels good in your neck. You can let yourself release a little bit. You can even kind of tilt your head, let your left ear come a little more towards your shoulder and your face come a little more to the front, or you can, just ease your way into releasing your neck, your upper back. And then finish on back at center with the chin. We're going to rise it, head back up forward, and you can head to half eagle or eagle wrap. So if you'd like to just slide the back of your right hand to the outside of your left elbow, or you can send the backs of your hands towards each other. You can come into that full, right fingers to the left palm and twisting your thumbs towards the midline if that feels good in your shoulders. Don't force it. Be where it feels okay to be. Your hands can be way apart, or do that half wrap if it's better. One more breath. And then we'll release the arms on down, float the arms straight on out from your shoulders again, and this time the right arm will come on top of the left. So again, releasing, hold kind of where it feels good, down towards your armpits if you'd rather. Let your chin come down towards your chest, and then again, if it's okay to let your head move around, go for it, Just release there between the shoulder blades. Let yourself find that nice stretch there in the upper back and your neck. Oh, one more breath. Come on back to center. Come on back up with your head, and again, head either towards half eagle or eagle wrap. So again, you can slide the back of your left hand to the outside of your right elbow, or you can send the backs of your hands towards each other. You don't have to go far. You can do that full wrap if you choose. Remember, we're trying to release tension, not add it. So think of shoulders melting down. One more breath. And then we'll unfold those arms on down beside us. And now just bring your arms behind you. So if you're in your chair, you can just melt back and lean back into the chair. It's my favorite part. Opening through the chest here. If you're on the floor, hands can be on the floor. Fingertips can be on the floor. Just let yourself be mindful of how your neck feels. Look forward if you'd rather. Look up a little bit if you want, or even all the way up to the ceiling if you choose. And then we'll rise on back up. And now just lean a little bit forward. Come into a bit of a forward bend. Those of you in your chair, if you want to separate your feet wider and kind of come forward with the elbows above your knees. On the floor, you decide. Keep your legs crossed. Stretch your legs out if you'd rather. You can put your hands on the floor if you want, if you're that far forward and it feels good. So take your time and just let the back release, and try to let your jaw go and let your face soften. One more breath. And we're going to slowly rise up. So bringing yourself back up. Use your hands however you need, and let yourself release your hands on out beside you here now. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our chest. Seated mountain. Let yourself lengthen up and enjoy that space in your spine. And then we'll unfold our arms, and we're going to make our way on up and around towards hands and knees, or hands on the seat of the chair. So or knees on a blanket. So for sure. If you do not want to be on your knees, do not be on your knees. Let yourself get comfortable so that you feel like when you start to move through your back, you don't have stress somewhere else, right? Wrists, if you need to be on fists, do. If you need to let yourself come down to your forearms, do. Go ahead and find your cat pose. Draw your navel towards your spine. Let your tailbone drop down. Let your head drop down. Take a couple of breaths there, and then on your next inhale, send your tailbone back and up, and let yourself move through either to neutral spine or into your cow pose if you're okay to do that. And then you start to just move at your own pace here. So moving through the spine, moving through your cat-cows. And of course, if you want to stop and stay in cat or cow, and stay for a couple of 3 breaths or however long you need to, you can. Just take your own time. Feel that ease of the back just moving easily into the curves. That natural feeling. Good. We're going to finish off the one we're on. And we'll meet back at a more neutral spine. And we'll step our left foot forward and our right foot back to come into lunge here. So this first lunge, just be mindful. It doesn't have to be a big long lunge. Make sure your front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. And let your shoulders come down away from your ears and enjoy. Oh. Such a great pose, so simple, right? So let yourself enjoy opening up the back of the right leg. Feel your belly engaging a little bit. Feel the length down the back body. Good, we're going to switch legs. Coming to the other side, and take your time. Again, how high up you want your hands, totally up to you. Enjoy that alignment of that front knee so you're not bending too deeply into the knee, putting stress there. Good. One more breath. And we are going to switch again. Sometimes, the second time, it feels better to go a little bit longer. So if you want to let your stance be a little bit longer, that is. So if you want to, you can. If some of you want to lift your left hand or forearm up to your thigh, you can, if that feels good. Or you can keep both hands down. And we're going to switch again. So again, that length of stance, up to you. Take your time, and if bringing the right hand up to your thigh there, or the forearm up to your thigh, really feels good to you, you can. It just brings it a little more into your legs and your hips. Good. And then we're going to step forward from here and come on into our standing forward bend. So feet hips distance apart and parallel. Obviously, you really want to be mindful. Bend both your knees for a second and let yourself feel like your sitting bones are pretty much over your heels. As you come on forward, and if you need to walk a little bit, bend a knee at a time, do it. Just ease your way into allowing your standing forward bend to help the backs of the legs to open up. Feeling your head nice and heavy, and feeling those breaths coming in and going out through your nose. So take your time to feel the breath. Going in deeply. Let go of your jaw. You can imagine releasing all around your eyes and across your forehead, like your forehead just smooths out. One more breath. And we'll bring our hands to our hips, bend our knees and rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So finding your mountain pose, if that means you need to adjust a little bit in your stance and do what you need to do, let yourself feel really good. Once you get ready to bring your gaze on forward and let your hands come gently together there, spread your fingers just a little bit. Imagine your thumbs just coming to this place where they want to come, right towards the breastbone. There's no right or wrong height or anything for your hands. Just let it feel easy, like they just come to plug in towards your chest, and you just feel like, almost like it's effortless to be in your mountain pose here now, feeling equal between your feet, Feeling your tailbone drop down. So once the pelvis aligns, the hips really want to come over the ankles and the shoulders want to be over your hips. Bringing your gaze on out, like you're looking at the horizon. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come forward into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long back. Lengthen out through your spine here. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. So again, wherever you want your hands, whatever height you want to be. And inhale, exhale into your down dog. So you know whether your hands are up on a chair, down on blocks any height, or on the floor in your dog, lengthen back through your tailbone. So you find lots of space in your spine. You can bend your knees as much as you want in your dog. See if you can softly feel your elbows hugging in towards each other. And on your next inhale, come on out towards a plank. You don't have to do a full plank. You can, if you're on the floor, put your knees down. You can go to your forearms if you need to. Let yourself just enjoy finding that sense of reaching your sitting bones down towards your heels. And then we'll come on back into down dog. So you know, if you need to, if you're up higher with your hands and you need to move your feet when you come between plank and dog, it's fine. This time we'll bring our right foot forward and come into lunge. So you know whatever you need to do to get there. Left knee down if you need, coming up and then back to your lunge, whatever works. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend, feet right underneath us. And again, whatever support you need. If you want to put your elbows above your knees to support you, or you want to put your hands on blocks or use the chair. Some of you might feel really good to put your hands to your elbows, or let your arms hang down so that you have a little bit more weight. So that's up to you. Easy breaths, full and deep into the ribs. So feeling your ribs expand, imagining the inhales and exhales are equally important. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up. And we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms. Bring your hands behind you and clasp your hands together. Just your fingers. Interlace your fingers. But leave your palms apart, okay? And then as you inhale, let your arms come away from your back a little bit. And when you exhale, let the hands come back to touch, wherever they touch. So on the inhale, they come away a little bit. Doesn't need to be far. On the exhale, they come back down. And then one more time, inhale, let the hands come away. And on the exhale, let them come back down. Now keep your hands down on your next inhale. And as you exhale, bend your knees and come forward and see if you can let yourself get parallel to the floor with your body. So you're reaching back equally through your sitting bones, and you've got a nice long, flat back. You're looking straight down. Good. One more breath. And then if you want to fold more, do. If you know that's not in you to do that, don't do it. Some of you might even want to release your arms off your back when you come forward. That is up to you and your shoulders. If it bothers you, don't do it. And then we'll release our arms all the way down and let your next inhale help you find that nice flat back again, that long back. And we're going to step our left foot back and come into lunge here. And see if you can just gently press your feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. Feel the belly engaging and find your shoulders drawing down. And we're going to make our way into a downward facing dog pose. So again, you know where you have your hands in down dog. Totally up to you. Elbows hug in a little bit. Walk a little bit in your dog if you can. Bend a knee at a time. On your next inhale, come on out towards that plank again. And again, you know this is totally optional. You can do push-ups if you feel like you want to stay in your plank. If you feel like you'd rather put your knees down and do a half plank or a forearm plank, do. Good, we're gonna come on back into down dog from here. Again, left foot will come forward to lunge, and whatever needs to happen to get that foot there. And then we'll come all the way back again into standing forward bend, feet right underneath us. Right to your breaths. Find those little spaces between your breaths if you can. That little space at the end of your inhale, the little space at the end of your exhale. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, bend our knees and rise on up. We'll inhale our arms out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's come into a little chair pose. Sit back, doesn't have to be a low chair, but like there's one behind you and you're coming forward a little bit with your torso. And you know, if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can. That's totally up to you, or you can stay up higher. Let your gaze come a little forward, so instead of dropping your gaze and rounding your back, you have that length in the spine. Equal through your feet. And from here, as you start to rise up, press down equally into your feet. As you come on up, we're going to inhale the hands on up through the midline of the body. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long back. And we're going to walk into a down dog from here. So hands, whatever surface, however high you want to be, walk yourself back. If you're able to spread your fingers, do it. Depends on whether your hands are on blocks or the floor or the chair. And on the next inhale, come on out towards that plane. The back bends are totally optional here. If you'd like to add one, you can. You can go down to the floor and do a sphinx or a cobra. You can let the pelvis sink a little bit. You can come through for a full up dog if you choose. And then we'll make our way back into down dog. And remember, those are optional, any back bends. So take your time. We're going to do that same thing. Inhale our way out to that plank. Again, optional whether you come into any kind of back bend at all. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. Good. We are going to bring our right foot forward this time to come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Right to your breath. Be easy. If anything bothers you and you need to support, do. Think of it if you can. Let your head maybe just turn a little bit side to side, or you might want to nod it a little bit. Just feeling that weight of your head and letting the weight of the head just help you release your neck. Find more space in your spine. One more breath here. And then we'll bend our knees. Bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down through the midline, coming into our mountain pose. And if you need to adjust, do it. Or if you feel pretty good to sway around a little bit, side to side or front to back, because that helps you get more centered, by all means do that. So that you eventually come into that place where you feel so balanced between your feet, balanced between the front and the back of your body. Enjoying the energy flowing through. And then we'll release to unfold our arms on down and shake out anything you need to. If you need to walk around, move through your feet and stuff a little bit. We're going to come into Warrior 2 at first, so if you need to, you can turn your chair around to do that, And then let's have our blocks handy. And we're going to step our right foot back and line up our heels. Whether your feet are 2 feet or 3 feet apart or more, it does not matter. Just let yourself bend that left knee. Take time to adjust to make sure you feel good about how deeply you're bending. You don't want it to go out beyond your toes. And then let's just float our arms up, turn our palms up for a second, let our elbows soften down. Look at your left palm there if you can. If it bothers your neck, don't. You can keep your head turning the other way. And then go ahead, send your palms to face downward, reach out through your fingertips. Now feel like you're stretching equally out through both sets of fingertips, right? Arms are long, open across your chest and your upper back. Feeling that strength of your warrior two. And then we'll let our right hand come on down to our right hip, and we're going to straighten our left knee out and bring our left hand down for triangle. Now if you got your chair there, you can use your chair. You can put your hand on the chair back or seat. You can bring the hand down if you want onto your leg, wherever, whatever height. But let your right shoulder draw up a little towards the ceiling if you can. So you look towards that long edge of your mat. If that doesn't feel good, don't do it. And if adding that top arm straight up does not feel good to your shoulder, keep your hand on your hip. Feel your thighs lifting upward. Let yourself take your time to feel that sense of legs working equally, right? We're going to bend the left knee and come on back into warrior two. Let yourself enjoy. Press those feet gently away from each other. It gets easier to get up that way. And we are going to bring our hands down and find a lunge here now. So bringing your hands down to whatever surface you want to use. So maybe you want to use your chair, your chair back even. You can be up high, you can go to the seat, or you can go to your blocks. And we'll bring our left hand to our left hip, and we're going to come into a little twist here in the lunge. So hand can come, right down, palm down towards your low back if possible. You're more than welcome to stretch that arm up if you choose to. That's up to you. Really enjoy finding that twist. Try not to sink too much into this right long leg side, right? And then we'll come on back down with our hands, and we're going to step forward and come into standing forward bend from here. Bend both your knees quite deeply. Think about your belly coming onto your thighs. And then press equally into your feet. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy a breath or two here in mountain pose. Nice. And then we're going to release, unfold, shake out a little bit. We're going to do the other side. So, again, as you step your left foot back, and you get yourself lined up there with your heels, right foot about parallel to the long edge of your mat, left foot about parallel to the back edge. Take your time, let your arms start to float up, turn your palms up, let your elbows melt down, and let yourself look at your right hand there. Now, if that hurts anywhere, don't do it. If your shoulders bother you, you adjust how you need. Same thing when you turn your palms down and reach out through your fingertips. Feeling that sense of reaching away from the midline of the body. But let your shoulders soften down. Imagine your arms are being held up from underneath. Good. We're going to bring our left hand down to our left hip. Straighten our right knee out and bring our right hand down to that triangle pose. So again, you can have your hand up as high, down as low as you want, and lengthen your torso out over that right leg. If you can draw your right shoulder up, you can do that. If that bothers you, you can stay looking down at the floor. You can, if you want to add that top arm straight up from your shoulder, you can do that. Just be mindful. Let it feel good. Feel those thighs lifting up towards the hips. So it's like you're making space in your knees. You're really using your legs there all the way up into the hips. And then we're going to bend that right knee. And again, as you come on up to standing, bring yourself on into your warrior two. And then hands coming down, we're going to find that lunge, remember. So as you turn to face the floor and release that left heel now directly behind you, again, whatever height you want to be with your hands, bringing your right hand to your right hip and turning into that twist. So your right hand, if you can put the palm down onto your sacrum there, do. And that'll tell you if you're dropping into the left side. You can feel it if you do it. Try to stay pretty level there, and you can add the arm if you want or not. Good. One more breath. And then letting your hand come on back down to your lunge. We'll step forward again. Get your feet hip distance apart and parallel. And from here we'll bend our knees, press into our feet and rise up. We're going to inhale our arms out and up. For now from here, lower your left arm down and come on over into a little side stretch here. And feel, actually, see if you can bend both your knees a little bit, just a little bit. And you feel equal between your feet there. And now we're going to rise on up, rising the left arm up too, and we're going to switch sides. So bringing that right arm down, coming into side stretch on the other side. Again, if you can bend your knees a little bit. Press equally into the floor with both your feet. And then rising on up, lowering that arm on down beside you. And just bend your elbows, bring your hands together in front of your chest. Find your mountain pose here. Feel the tailbone, remember, reaching down towards between your heels, kind of the back of your heels. And then we'll release. Swing your arms around a little bit. If you need to move through your hands, you know, do that. And we are going to make our way into Warrior One this time with our right foot stepping back. So take your time, let yourself step back with your right foot. Come into the length of stance for Warrior One where you feel good as you draw your shoulders to square to the front of the mat. Remember that front knee is still bent no farther forward than your ankle. Back foot turned out 20 or 30 degrees. And then reach your hands and look down. Reach your hands towards the front corners of your mat with the palms facing each other. Right? So, and you're looking down, so that's a little bit different, but see if you can just let yourself feel very balanced here between your hands up into your shoulders. And then start to bring your gaze forward. Rise your arms up higher and keep them rising up only as high as your shoulders allow. Right? So the hands can be wider if that feels better. If you want to widen out more, do. Let your pinkies turn towards each other. Once you come up into your Warrior One, if you want to bring your gaze up, do. If you'd rather look forward, do. Feel that lift through the front of the body, downward flow through the back of the body. Good. One more breath. And we're going to lower our arms down, straighten that left knee out, and come on forward towards pyramid pose. Now, you're more than welcome to put your hands down on whatever you need. Like you can put your hands to the back of a chair, to the seat of a chair, or down to your blocks, right? Totally up to you what height you want to be. So as you bring your hands down and you come into pyramid pose, you might need to adjust your stance. So feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips a little bit there. Let yourself feel equal through the sides of your body. And then bring your left hand up to your left hip and just add a little twist there. Let yourself just look to the left, coming into a bit of a twist in your, it's called revolved triangle, coming from that pyramid into that little twist. And then we'll come on back down. Now, if you want to fold over your leg here, go. Feel good to do it. Go for it. You can do that. Good. So one more breath. Feel the thighs still lifting up towards the hips. And now, come up enough to bend that front knee. We're going to come back to Warrior One. So you really got to use your core to rise yourself, hands to your heart. Bringing yourself on back up into your Warrior One. And then letting your hands come down. We're going to turn to face the long edge of that mat there for a wide-legged forward bend. So you know, grab your blocks if you need them. Let yourself, adjust your stance when you get there as you start to bend one knee at a time. If you need to get wider or less wide, by all means do. And of course, if this bending of one knee at a time bothers your knees or anything, just don't do it. And then once you come back into center, whether your knees are bent or straight, doesn't matter. They can be either one. You can decide how you want to be in the pose as far as staying for a few breaths. So you can stack your blocks up and get out of your hands and still stay with a long back by coming onto your forearms on blocks. You can put your elbows above your knees if that's better for you for support. You know, and if some of you really feel very good to go ahead and release, hands back towards between your feet or onto your ankles, you know, you just be really mindful how you feel today. Every day is a new one, right? So just come into your breaths, receiving those breaths fully and deeply. See if you can let the breath, the length of your inhales and exhales, become a little bit closer to the same length. Doesn't have to be exact. You can let your exhales be a little bit longer if you're comfortable to do that. So take your time. We are going to start to head up. So as you start to think of rising up, you can adjust, you know that. Before you rise up, if you need to come closer together with your feet, whatever works. If you're dizzy and you need to stay wide for a second, take your time. Walk around a little bit if you need to. And we are going to come to the other side. So you might want to bring your blocks back depending on what you've done with them and how you use them, of course. We're going to step the left foot back and come into that warrior one. Remember, if you'd rather feel like you're kind of on narrow railroad tracks in your warrior one, if that feels better in your hips, do that, right? That back foot slightly turned out. You know, you still don't want to collapse into the inside of the foot. You want to imagine your arches both lifting up, right? And then bring your hands on forward. Let your palms face each other. Let yourself look down for a second and feel as equal as you can here. Again, this will really tell you that you're not drawing that left shoulder back. And as the arms start to rise up, and you stop wherever your shoulders need you to. It might be here. It might be arms might come all the way up by your ears. And they may not. They may decide they want to. Shoulders may need for you to stay forward. You decide how much you want to, or if you want to look up, right? If you can, you still feel that lift to the belly, and there's a lengthening down of your top buttock muscle. This is left buttock muscle reaching down towards your left heel, and that opens the front of the hip more. Energy up through the fingertips. One more inhale. And on the exhale, lowering your arms down here now. We're going to straighten that front knee out. We want to get our hips pretty square. Come on forward. Again, you can put your hands down any height you want to be. This is a great one to do at home on a kitchen counter, by the way. Letting your hands come there to give you support. You can go lower, you know that. You can put your hands down to blocks if you'd rather. Let yourself feel the thighs engaging upward. And then, once you kind of get feeling pretty good there, bring your right hand to your right hip and just let that shoulder roll up a little bit. You can put your palm down on to your low back or not. That's up to you. Enjoy. Try to feel the four corners of both feet into the floor. And then when you're ready, bringing that right hand on back down. If you like to fold over your leg, go for it. So if folding forward more feels good, do. Opening up the backs of the legs there. Good. One more breath. And now remember, from here, come up and up, bend that front knee, and we're going to try to rise back to warrior one, which is actually a lot of work, right? Using your core body to try to bring you back up. Hands to your heart, finding your warrior one. Nice, and then we'll bring our arms on down, and we're going to turn towards the long edge of our mat, again for that wide-legged, set up for that wide-legged forward bend. You can bring yourself forward when you're ready, and again, Go ahead and adjust. If you need to bend a knee at a time, if you feel like, oh, I want to get wider. Remember, we're attempting to be pretty parallel with our feet, but some people's hips feel better turning out a little bit with their toes, or even turning in a little more pigeon-toed. So take your time. Once you kind of get settled in the stance there, let's walk over to the right, or shift our blocks to the right, whichever you want to do. And once you get there, just stay and breathe. Let your legs adjust. Let yourself enjoy feeling the hamstrings here and the outer, the IT band really. We're going to come on back in through center and go over to the left. So again, once you get over there with your blocks, you don't have to go all the way to the foot. You know that. And just breathe. Good. And then release. Come on back into center. And if you can here now, let your toes turn out. You know how goddess is with your toes turned out. Bend both your knees. And then see if you can just straighten one of your knees. And then you just shift over to the other side. So you're just doing that, bending one knee at a time, but with the toes turned out a little bit. So you get a different stretch there. And then come on back into center, and we're going to turn our toes back pretty more parallel if we can. And go ahead again, use whatever support you want to come into your pose here where you can stay and really release your upper body. And follow your breath, and you don't feel any kind of discomfort, right? Whether it's elbows above knees, or using the blocks for your hands or your forearms or your head. And then full, deep, complete breaths. Following the breath all the way in and all the way out. One more complete full breath. And now be mindful again, when you start to rise up, if you feel a bit dizzy or anything, hold on to something if you need to. Let your feet stay wider if you need to. And then take your time. Walk your feet on in. Move around through your feet and your ankles a little bit if you need to. I do. And we are going to bring our mats into a wall, which is pretty easy today. We've got plenty of room, so bring yourself on in. And bring both your blocks with you. Okay? And I'm going to leave my mat turned because we'll turn back in a second. But bring both your blocks and let yourself turn for your left shoulder to be at the wall. And Catherine, you be careful with this because you're long, and I think everyone knows. Because we're going to do a little 3.5 moon. You two, you might have to step off your mat if you have to, if you don't have room, right? So you guys, like, if you need to step, you still have tons of room, but you might have to not be on your mat. That's fine. Yeah. Just to do this. So we're going to put our hands down, and we're going to have our left hip towards the wall, right? And you're here in a forward bend. You can keep your blocks out so you have a long back. You can come up higher if you need on your fingertips. But then, let's lift our right leg up into a warrior 3, so it's like your toes are facing down. Now, it's a little bit different when the wall's there, yeah? And then see if you can put your left hand to the block and start to open into a little half moon. So that the right toes start to turn away from the floor outward. And then see if you can bring your right hand to your hip. You don't have to do this whole thing, you know that. You can lean back into the wall. You can let yourself, if you prefer, bring the right arm up into your half moon there. This leg, right leg, can be as high as parallel to the floor, right? It might be lower, and that's fine too. Don't overdo. One more breath here, opening up through the hips, lengthening through the spine. And then go ahead and bring your right hand down and bring your right foot down. Stay here for a breath. Bend both your knees. Let yourself release your hips a little bit. And then all we're going to do is bring our hands to our thighs and rise up so that we can turn around and do the other side. So grab your blocks, bring yourself on around. If you're in a close quarters, make sure you're not gonna, bang into a lamp or a fan. And then again, left foot comes up, and so that your right shoulder, is kind of supporting you there at the wall. Adjust however you need. So if your right foot's too close to the wall, go ahead and adjust. So that when you think of coming into that half moon and turning your toes away from the floor and bringing your left hand up to your hip, maybe just leaning into the wall, letting it support you. And just enjoy. Oh, don't you love this pose? Yes. This just feels so good. Think about what is going on, man. Your hips, your back, but with the wall supporting you, you don't have to struggle with balance, but you're aligned because the wall is keeping you aligned. Beautiful. One more breath. And then come on back down again. Let your knees bend again. And then from here, bring your hands to your thighs. Come on up, and then just turn your back right to the wall. Walk your feet out a little bit so that maybe you have 18 inches or so between your heels and the wall. And then just bend your knees a little bit and release back into the wall. Bring your arms out beside you. Turn your palms forward. And just let yourself open up there. Feel, your back of your head might be in the wall, but it might not. It depends on how you're built in your shoulders. So just enjoy. You'll feel your thighs a little bit, but it's a very big release in the hips. Now from here, if coming forward, it feels good to you, you can put your elbows above your knees and stay with a long back so that, your sitting bones are in the wall. Or you can keep folding forward over your legs, and they can lengthen out. It's like a standing forward bend, except, of course, your hips are way back behind your heels, right? So that's not good for everybody's back. Some people that feels just amazing release, and for some people it does not feel good at all. So just go where it feels good. Let yourself enjoy. Good. And then we'll bend our knees and bring our hands to our thighs if we're not already there, and rise on up. And then walk your feet on back. Good. Move around a little bit. We're going to come to our bellies, but I want to make sure I told everybody about a strap. I couldn't remember if I told you we need a strap. Okay. So let's come on down onto our bellies on the floor. Kind of have your strap handy, just so it's right there in a minute when you need it. And come on down onto breaking that little pillow with your hands. If you're comfortable to put your forehead on your hands, do. Bend your knees and let your feet circle around back here. You can do both directions. You can do as much of a little foot dance back there as you want. You can do the windshield wiper blades if that feels good too, with letting your lower legs come side to side. Good. And then see if you can separate your knees a little wider towards the outside edges of your mat, but your feet are going to come in like a frog, kind of, right? So your feet come in to kind of support each other back there. And if you want, if you're okay to let your feet come down a little more towards the floor, whatever feels the most releasing for your hips. So and if your belly kind of rises up a little bit, that's okay. Don't try to force anything. Don't try to make yourself force your feet down or make yourself stay, down more towards the floor. Just kind of it's almost like the weight of the lower legs helps you release more into your low back and your hips. It is a Baddha Konasana, reclined. Good. Oh, one more breath. And then bring the feet back up. Bring your knees back in so that when you straighten your legs out long, they're underneath you. You're on the tops of your feet. And then from here, let's come on into a Sphinx pose with our elbows as close to under the shoulders as we feel comfortable to be for our backs, right? So, you may need to bring them more towards your waist and be up just a little bit, or you may want to let your arms come forward. Totally up to you. But just enjoy this pose. See if you can just let yourself, your belly is gently engaged a little bit, just enough. You don't want to feel any kind of tweakiness in your low back. And then go with your hands to clasp each other so that you can send your pinkies out and bend your knees and lift up to that little half forearm plank where you're on the flesh above your knees. And if this bothers you, don't do it. If you flex your feet and feel that sense almost of like you're drawing yourself towards the front of your mat, you'll feel even more. So if you were trying to pull yourself forward a little bit, feel your belly just goes kind of crazy, and your back really. Now you can stay here for a breath or two, or you can put your toes down and lift up to a full forearm plank if you'd rather. That is totally up to you. And stay with the knees down. You're on the flesh above your knees. It's not like you're pushing down into the kneecap, right? Good, and then just release. Let yourself come all the way down. Release your arms down alongside you. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, come up into a little locust pose. Doesn't have to be high. You can just barely be lifting up. You're still using your back. Little shallow breaths here. One more breath. And then come on back down. We're going to bring the arms back into like a half forearm plank position or full. And again, you can bend your knees, come back to that half forearm plank there, or you can put your feet down and lift your knees up, coming into a full one. One more breath there. And then we're going to release down again, back to that locust pose. Arms down alongside you. And on your next inhale, float on up. It doesn't have to be high. So think about reaching your fingertips down. So you're reaching back towards the wall behind you with your fingertips. Let yourself feel open across your chest. Doesn't mean you have to be high. One more breath. And then again, we're going to come back to those forearms. Whether you come back to that half forearm plank or full one, or some of you might want to come to a dolphin pose. So if you want to walk your knees up and lift up into dolphin pose, you can. It's totally optional, you know that. Not all shoulders want to do this. When you're in dolphin, your head is off the floor. Your elbows are hugging in. You're pressing down into your forearms. So it's the same action as when you're in a half or full forearm plank as far as pressing and drawing in with the elbows. But, it's a total different, obviously, when you're up like that, alignment for the shoulders. Good, one more breath. And then we're going to release down. Now we're going to come towards child's pose from here. So how you get there, totally up to you. You can come on up into big toes together, and knees can be as far apart as you want. You can stay forward towards your forearms if that's too much for your knees to shift back. So, be really mindful. Another thing you can do is use a blanket rolled up, like a bolster shape, a round bolster shape, and put it behind your knees. That keeps you from bending so deeply, right? But you can relax a little bit better that way if you're having knee issues. So whether your arms are soft and overhead, or maybe you have your arms back alongside your legs, it doesn't matter. Just breathe into your low back. Enjoy those full breaths, expanding the low back. Good. And then from here, letting your hands come back by your knees. We're going to come on around and bring our legs on around in front of us and get your strap right there, because because we're gonna come right on down onto our backs on the floor. So bring your knees in towards your chest when you get there. Let your knees come a little bit side to side, or you might even want to circle them. So if it feels better to let the knees circle, whether you hold the knees or not, that is totally up to you. Just ease your way into what feels good to release your back and your hips. Good. And then bring your feet on down to the floor and let yourself set up for a little bridge pose. We'll just release our arms down alongside us. Now you can do robot arms where you have your palms facing each other, elbows bent to 90 degrees, or you can have your arms long. Press down into the backs of your arms, and when your chest rises up a little bit, roll your shoulders under more, and you can lift up into that little bridge. Now that doesn't mean you have to be high. You know, and if you're like, well, I'd really rather grab a block and put it underneath me there to support me, then do that. In a bridge pose, obviously you're going to feel your thighs, but you don't want to feel your back. You don't want to feel any kind of discomfort in your back. Supported bridge is great. Moving up and down out of a bridge pose is fine. You don't have to go up there and stay up there, especially if you feel like you're tensing, right? There is a lengthening feeling in bridge pose of your low back. Your top buttock muscles are kind of reaching towards your knees. But if it feels like they're gripping and clenching, then come down maybe and then try going up again. Or put a block under you and just let yourself rest on the block. Good. We're going to finish off. If you're on a block, let yourself come on down. And then once you get down, let your knees come wider on your mat, and let your knees just easily come from one side to the other. So just letting yourself, and you can stay like on one side if you want to hang out, let your knees hang out on one side and let your belly stretch out a little bit that way, you can. Good. And then we'll come on back up with the knees to center. Walk your feet back in if you're separated pretty wide, because we're going to get our strap. And we are going to put our right foot up into that strap. So take your time. Get your strap across the ball of your foot, the base of the big toe mound, the little toe mound. Bend your right knee quite a bit. Just kind of let your right thigh, your right inner thigh slide towards the outside of your right ribs a little bit. So, you know, that gives you a little more room. And then if you can stretch your left leg down long on the floor, do. If you don't feel good to do that, keep the knee bent. And then see about coming into extending into a bit longer right leg. Now, even if the leg comes way far away from you, you know, you're going to get a release in the back of your leg and your hamstring. And even if there is a little bit of bend in the knee, same thing. You're still going to get a release in the back of the leg. You don't want to try to pull the leg in towards you, ever. You don't want to feel any kind of pulling sensation at your sitting bone. And then just breathe. Just let the leg open up. Let yourself, you know, feel like you're pressing gently every once in a while. Kind of renew that gentle pressure into the strap with the ball of your foot. And keep a little energy in that long left leg too, so that you feel the heel drawing down towards the floor. Almost like you have a strap on it too, so you're pressing into the ball of the foot a little bit. And then bring both ends of the strap into your right hand. Let your left hand rest on the top of your left hip. We're going to open the leg to the right and keep pressing gently a little bit into that strap. And try not to let your left hip pop up off the floor, right? You're trying to stay grounded in that left side. One more breath here. And then bring the leg back up to the top, switch hands, so you let your left hand get the strap, and we're gonna come across into a little twist. Now that might mean that your right hip stays on the floor. Or you might wanna continue over farther. Really totally depends on you. And if you go pretty deep across the body with the leg, just let the left leg do what it wants, so that maybe you'll end up on kind of the outside of your left foot being on the floor there if you go really far. So you're not trying to keep the left toes facing up, in other words. Just let the leg do what it needs. One more breath. And then slowly make your way back up to the top with the leg. And we are going to put the left foot up there to switch, so take your time. Again, bend the left knee once you get the strap there, kind of adjust it, bend the knee pretty deeply. And of course that lengthening of that right leg down long, totally up to you. It's fine to keep the knee bent and the foot on the floor. And again, when you decide that you feel like you want to come into a little bit straighter left leg, the leg can come far away from you as you need. Knee can stay bent. You're still going to open the leg, the back of the leg, whether your knee is totally straight or not. And then just breathe. Just enjoy finding that release. Again, every once in a while, gently press into the strap with the ball of the foot. And same thing with that long right leg. Press into the like you have a strap, pressing into the ball of your foot. So you're engaged a little bit as you're stretching. And then left hand stays on the strap, right hand comes down to the top of your right hip. We're going to open to the left, so we're coming into that outward hip rotation. And again, you don't want to pop up with that right side. It'll come up a little bit. You just don't want to like really pop way up. Good. And then come on back up to the top. You're going to switch hands on the strap, and left arm stretches out beside you. And as you bring the leg to the right, you decide how far. You know, if it feels great to descend more and more, do that. Good. One more breath. And then as you come on back up to the top, go ahead and take your strap off your foot and put your strap aside. We're done with the strap. Bring your knees on into your chest and just be really easy. Circle if you want, like we did before, or bring knees side to side if you'd rather. Take your time. And then really follow what your body needs to do right now. And that might be anything. Who knows? We're all different. So if you need any other kind of stretch, any other pose, anything at all that's going to help you be more comfortable for Shavasana. You might need to, have your knees come side to side and twist a little more, but I'd be happy to bring you stuff. So if the idea of having some support underneath your knees, even here at the studio, remember I sanitize all the bolsters. I'd be happy to bring you a bolster. If you're at home, you can always roll blankets to make yourself bolsters for under your knees if that helps you be more relaxed. I'm sure over here I have an inkling that there's going to be a couple wanting. I wonder how I know that. We have some habits in here. They're good habits, though. if you're not comfortable, do what you need to do to get comfortable. In other words, if you need to change your arms or legs a little bit, if you need that little bit of support behind your head to let your neck release. And then just accept your breaths in and out. Enjoying really the sensations that move through the body after you've done a yoga class. Enjoying the support of the ground underneath you. And then just keep coming back to your breath. Whenever your mind goes off into wandering, which it always does, just see if you can keep coming back with your awareness to your breath. Letting yourself find those quiet places, those little quiet spaces really, where your mind and your body can benefit from all you just did. Allow yourself to completely and fully relax. letting your breaths start to deepen and lengthen, maybe even feeling the physical movement as you breathe in and out. Let those breaths start to bring you back into wanting to move again. If your fingers and toes, hands and feet can begin your movement into your arms, your legs, doing whatever movements feel natural to you, bending, stretching, take your time. And you know you're welcome to stay on your back. You're welcome to roll to one side if you're comfortable to come into a soft fetal position on one side. You can always use your arm as a pillow and rest comfortably that way. Give yourself a little time to transition. Just be easy. Enjoy the ground a little bit longer, however you can. When you do feel ready to rise up, just come up to sit however is comfortable. See if you can let your eyes stay closed, or you can always just close them again when you get up if you're more comfortable to open your eyes to come on up. But just try to stay inwardly focused a little bit longer. Feel as you start to sit comfortably and you lengthen up, feel that sense of space in your spine and how much easier it is to breathe. Let yourself, as you exhale, bring your hands to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Thursday.
We go back to sleep.
I was gonna say, can we just lay back down and stay here?